Hello everybody. Man, it's been a long time since my last video. Life has kind of gotten in the way. I hope to get back into making videos again, but in the meantime, how about a review of a huge show that happened in July? The Midsummer Champion show on the 9th. The show had a lot of very awesome moments, so let's talk about them. The first match of the show was Hina versus Yuko Sakurai versus Lady C. I feel like I've seen Yuko before, but I haven't really watched Actress Girl since the video I made on it a very long time ago. She has a very awesome look, making her pretty unique in Stardom, and she stands out. The match itself wasn't too impressive, and I only had one highlight other than the finish. The only part of the match that seemed cool was the giant swing by Lady C on Hina. These three did their best, but there is a reason this was a dark match. Lady C pins Hina after whatever this move is. I haven't really been keeping up with what the moves are called. Translation, though, has it coming out as I'm Takagi Lady Style. I doubt that's correct, but, who knows. The match wasn't anything to write home about and is an easy skip if you want to save some time when watching the show. The first official match of the show is a title match where Wakatsukiyama challenges Hanan for her Future of Stardom title. This match showed a very awesome intensity from Waka. She seemed very determined to get this title. She even did a little warrior rope shake. Kind of comical because of her size, though. Some highlights would include this awesome slam by Waka. Seems pretty unique, and I don't remember seeing it before. Waka with the hammerlock suplex, and Hanan with her bicycle leg drop move. I don't really know how else to describe it, but I am a big fan. Hanan defends her title for the 8th time, and we see a sweet moment here where Hanan and Waka kind of hug it out after the match. You gotta love interfaction camaraderie. This match was much better than the dark match. I'm glad to see Waka has improved so much since the last time I watched. I didn't really have too much faith in her that her potential was going to be too high, but based on this match alone, I feel like she has definitely kind of convinced me otherwise. She seems to be trying really hard, and I can always appreciate that. Next, we have a Queen's Quest versus God's Eye match. So, God's Eye is relatively new to me, as they weren't really a thing when I kind of stopped watching. I heard about it, but I haven't seen too much of the new edition, Amisore. The match starts out with Miyu Amasaki jumping God's Eye. I feel like Miyu is a good addition to Queen's Quest, but I'm not so sure of her potential without seeing more. There is a pretty intense moment early on when God's Eye gets the upper hand back from the jump and does like a duo slap barrage on Miyu. They were not holding back. Ami hits Utami with a pretty cool clothesline here when she does a kind of Bobby Lashley roll with it. Miyu hits Mirai with a pretty cool move, but I don't like how much of it is so obviously relying on the opponent. Any kind of move like this where it's obvious it would never work if the opponent wasn't doing half of it with you is kinda lame. But seeing as she is pretty new and obviously not too skilled yet, seeing her pull off a move like this is acceptable. It's like a pop-up driver. It's kind of hard to explain. Mirai wins the match by pinning Miyu after what the translation shows as the move being called Miramare Shock. The match was pretty good. I feel like everyone did a good job keeping it from getting boring. This next match has a lot of people in it. It's a Autotie versus Stars, Fukigen Death, Rina Ruka, and Saki Kashima versus Hazuki Koguma, Mayu Iwatani, and Saya Ida. While this match has a lot of really good people in it, and it should be the quite of banger, I am unfortunately going to say I was mostly bored. I have zero highlights for this one. My only note was that Rina won the match. This was a clear filler match to just get everyone on the card. It's a shame that Autotie has been knocked down to filler in this show, just because Momo or Starlight Kid is participating in the main event and semi-main event. I would recommend skipping this match if you don't have much time to spare, and even if you do have time to spare, I would still recommend skipping this match. Next, we have our first really good match of the night. Komomo challenges Azumi for her high-speed title. I went into this match expecting it to be bleh, because Komomo wasn't exactly the greatest the last time I watched Stardom. I was pleasantly surprised to find that she actually stepped up quite a bit in this and really made the match memorable. Starting with the highlights, we have Momokogo messing up trying to climb the turnbuckle during the opening high-speed sequence. Then we have Momokogo doing a pretty cool arm drag here, showing elements of a tilt-a-whirl, kind of like Azumi likes doing. Azumi does a pretty awesome climb up the turnbuckle to then do a springboard dropkick while holding Momo's arm the whole time. It was just awesome to see. Next, we have a couple pretty intense 619 moves by Kogo in this match. Kogo uses it to knock Azumi off the corner, then later uses it to hit Azumi, who is leaning on the apron on the outside. Then finally she uses the movement to transition into a DDT, which I've got to admit is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Azumi would end up getting the win here though with a submission move. The translation is coming out to numero uno. The good times don't last long though, as Rina comes out and attacks Azumi to challenge for the next title. Azumi, of course, accepts. Next, we have the best match of the night, in my opinion. It had great wrestling and highlights, but also had the most story and emotion attached to it, which isn't a huge surprise because Tam and Julia are involved. It's a Cosmic Angels versus a DDM match. On the Cosmic Angels side, we have Tam Nakano, Mina Shirakawa, Unagi Sayaka, and two people from Colors, Saki and Hikaru Shimizu. And then they are facing Julia, Himeka, Maika, Mai Sakurai, and Natsupoi. Going into this match, I already knew the shocking moments at the end where Natsupoi betrays DDM and joins Cosmic Angels. Even knowing that ending beforehand, this match still held up as amazing. The match quickly erupts into chaos, destroying the typical one-on-one rotation that big matches like this used to do a lot. After the first change out, it became a much more fluid and natural shifting match, people coming in and out at a quick pace, with Cosmic Angels getting the advantage first and DDM getting it back. The first elimination was shockingly performed by Mai Sakurai when she kicked out Mina Shirakawa and Himeka while they fought on the apron. Hikari pins Mai Sakurai, then Maika gets 2 eliminations in a row, taking out Unagi Sayaka and then Hikari with the Michinoku driver. Saki flash pins Maika, leaving only 2 on each team. Julia eliminates Saki, leaving Tam all alone to defend against Natsupoi and Julia. While all 3 were on the apron, Natsupoi betrays Julia and superkicks her, then helps Tam eliminate her, then immediately eliminates herself, making Tam Nakano the winner of the match. This is where the awesome storytelling comes into play. We have Kozen acting incredibly confused and shocked, while DDM looks on the disbelief and hurt side. Natsupoi was tired of being DDM's cute mascot or pet. She wants to get better and she sees herself only doing that beside Tam, someone she has looked up to. DDM obviously doesn't take this well, but are actually pretty upset in different ways, which is interesting. Julia seems betrayed and lashes out, declaring Natsupoi an enemy. Himeka is heartbroken, saying that Natsupoi has changed and threw away their cherished friendship. Thekla seems the most broken up about it, visibly crying and not even being able to say anything, even giving a very heartbreaking wave as she is the last to leave the ring. Micah seems angry as she finds Natsupoi crying and acting sad about betraying DDM to be conflicting with her actions. Tam Nakano accepts Natsupoi into Kozen and says she will never regret choosing them. Everyone seems pretty happy about it, but Mina does have moments where she looks annoyed or upset. But I could just be looking too much into it because it doesn't seem like they're going in that direction. This match was by far the best, and it had me intrigued from beginning to very end. The semi-main event was a title match where Starlight Kid was challenging Saya Kamitani for her white belt. Saya Kamitani successfully defended her title for the 6th time here, and this match has 2 story progressions. First, we have Kamitani setting up her next challenge when she got challenged by Saki from Colors at the end of the match. And then Nanae Tanahashi from Seedling comes out and says she is Kairi's partner, and Lady C announces that she will help Kamitani face Nanae and Kairi. As for the match itself, it was pretty great, and there were a couple pretty good highlights. We have a good chunk of the beginning of the match being done on the walkway to the ring, where it's a very hard surface. With Starlight Kid hitting Kamitani's leg with a chair, Starlight Kid would go on to target Sai Kamitani's right leg throughout the entire match. Some kind of match, IQ there going for Starlight Kid. Starlight Kid hits a pretty solid tiger suplex on the apron later in the match, and then does a springboard moonsault to the outside. It looks great. I think she's doing great with this stuff, and she's really standing out on the roster now. Kamitani was able to reverse Starlight Kid's moonsault later in the match, which this scenario right here, this sequence, always looks super brutal. I don't know how it doesn't just completely knock the wind out of whoever's doing the moonsault. It just looks insane. Starlight Kid kicks out of the Star Killer later in the match, which I didn't know that move had gotten so weak to the point where it's already being kicked out of. I understand that Kamitani has a lot more big moves in her repertoire, but I didn't know that her finisher that she used to have, because that used to be kind of like her finisher, her ultimate other than the Phoenix Splash. I didn't know it was already being kicked out of. That's kind of a shame. There is a moment where they do a Spanish fly, and I think Kamitani was supposed to reverse it, but it just looks like they botched it. The only reason why I think that they might not have botched it is that I believe Kid was the one who was supposed to be doing the Spanish fly, but then afterwards Kamitani kind of gets up right after, which would imply that she reversed it. There's this really cool move here. I have no idea what it's supposed to be named, but it looks awesome. Kamitani gets the win with the Phoenix Splash, and that leads into all of the stuff I mentioned before at the beginning of this segment. The match was really great. They had a lot to live up to for the match before that one, because the match before that one was amazing, 5 out of 5, perfection. But I feel like they did a great job of not bringing down the energy of the show and continuing to rise. The main event was another title match, and it was Momo Watanabe facing Shuri for her red belt. This match was a very typical big match main event, and I don't mean that in a bad way. With the way Shuri and Momo wrestle, they don't have many big moment highlights. It's more like the whole match is one big highlight. The greatness of this match doesn't come from a couple of holy shit moments, but from the slow progress to the big finish. This is the kind of match that Utami was trying to replicate during her red belt run. The match obviously ends with Shuri winning and Momo being let out from the submission Shuri used to win. Momo's leg being more hurt than normal due to her having a wrench in her kick pad. And after the match, Tam Nakano comes out and challenges Shuri, saying that she is going to win and represent Stardom in Aichi in August. Shuri accepts and then closes out the show alone, which is very odd. You would think that Mirai and Ami Sarai would have joined her in the ring, seeing how they're now a faction called God's Eye, but whatever. Overall, this show was pretty great. Started out kind of slow with some skippable matches and an average of okay matches, but then ramped up from the high-speed match onward. Every match after that was just awesome. I believe every single one of them killed it, but obviously, like I was saying before, the highlight of the show, the match of the night, is obviously DDM versus Cosmic Angels. This match had everything. It had great action, it had great wrestling, it had great drama, great story. The look on all of their faces when they were just looking at each other in confusion or shock or despair, it just, that's what pushes this match to above. So thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments which match was your favorite. Obviously, you guys know what match was my favorite. It's pretty obvious. You could usually guess which match of the night is going to be my favorite. Usually it involves Tam in some way. I still hold the belief, even after all this time, that Tam is probably the best wrestler in Stardom overall, and probably in just wrestling in general. I mean, obviously that's a hard statement to say because I don't watch a majority of wrestling. So, yeah. So thank you for watching. Bye.